Hi there everyone, so in this video I'm going to be talking to you about the tropical rainforest biome and its characteristics. So tropical rainforests are found in a band along the equator in South America, Africa and Southeast Asia. Tropical rainforests can also be found in the northern regions of Australia. We call this area the equatorial zone. It is found between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn and is characterized by warm, wet weather. On this slide here, you can see the change in temperature throughout the year. So you've got the monthly temperature values and you've also got the monthly rainfall recordings. Okay, so what I would like to do is look at this data and see if you can work out the annual temperature range. And then I'd also like you to see if you can calculate the annual mean rainfall. Pause this video now. So the temperature range is 2 degrees C. So you take the lower temperature, the lowest temperature value from the highest. So 27, you need to take that away from 29 to give the answer of 2. And the mean rainfall is 175 millimeters. So to calculate this, I added each individual value together, divided it by 12, as there's 12 months in the year, and that gave the answer of 175 millimeters. So what have we learned? Well, we have learned first of all that the temperature remains high throughout the year in the tropical rainforest biome. There's very little difference between each month. The lowest temperature here was 27 degrees C and the highest was 29. That is particularly different to the climate we experience here in the deciduous biome, as we have 4 seasons per year. We can also see from this table that it is wet throughout the year. There is a high amount of rainfall. There is a slightly wetter season between the months of October and May. In between those months, the rainfall has decreased slightly. Now, the reason this area of the world receives a lot of rain is because the sun is directly overhead, meaning that it receives a more concentrated amount of sunlight compared to areas further north and south within the different hemispheres. This means that air rises rapidly, and with it, water vapor will cool, condense, and therefore form clouds. The clouds grow on a daily basis to form what we call cumulonimbus clouds, which are enormous dark storm clouds which bring heavy convectional rainfall, thunder, and lightning. We can put these steps into a cycle, which is known as a rainforest water cycle. So in the morning, the sun will be heating the ground, and as a result of this, water, which is stored there, will evaporate. So it will change from a liquid state, to a gas, which is known as water vapor. Water will also evaporate from rivers and lakes within the rainforest during this period of time. Water will also be released from the leaves on trees as water vapor, which is known as transpiration. Water vapor will rise, cool, and condense, which means it turns back into liquid to form cumulus clouds. And throughout the morning, these cumulus clouds will grow to form cumulonimbus clouds, which, like I said, brings the storm conditions and a very heavy downpour of rain. This cycle happens on a daily basis. Once the rainfall has reached the ground, or even the crowns of the trees, it will either remain there until the next day if it's on a leaf, or if it's reached the ground, the water will infiltrate into the soil and then be taken up by the roots of trees and plants. The next day, this water will be released again through transpiration, and the cycle continues. Now, it's because the climate is hot and wet that there's a whole host of different species in the rainforest. There are over 1,500 species of fish, 2,000 bird species, and over 30,000 species of insects. Each of these organisms live at different levels of the rainforest as well. Some of the organisms will live high up in the trees in what we call the canopy layer, whereas others will reside on the forest floor, on the ground. And the conditions they experience in different areas vary greatly. So what I'd like you to do is this. This slide shows you a little bit more information about what some of these organisms eat. What you need to do is pause this video and see if you can write down at least 3 different food chains. An example of a food chain would be flowers, so hummingbirds, which feed on the nectar inside the flowers, to eagle, which is the predator. Okay, so pause the video now as I'm going through the answers. Seeds and nuts, parrots, eagle. Fruit, monkey, eagle. Leaves, sloth, eagle. Leaves, sloth, jaguar. Wood, termite, anteater, jaguar. Now, what I'd like you to do is pause the video once more and organise those food chains into a food web. Here is a template for the food web which you can use. Pause the video now if you want to write that down. Pause the video now so you can organise the food chains into a food web. Okay, so the answers. So along the bottom of the food web, you have all the producers. You then have the primary consumers and the secondary consumers. And in this case here in the far right, we've even got 4-step food chain where you have the tertiary consumers. These organisms can also be referred to as predators. Now, we show food chains as a food web so we can identify the links between different organisms in the rainforest. Small changes in the number of any of these species will have serious knock-on effects. This is why we refer to this biome as being fragile. If there is change in soil quality and the amount of nutrients in the soil, the amount of moisture and the temperature, or even the number of a certain species, will lead to a damaging impact on another organism within the rainforest. So, as I've mentioned before, there are 4 main layers to the rainforest. We have the ground layer, understory, canopy, and emergence. Now, the emergence are the tallest trees which are able to break through a dense canopy layer of smaller trees. The emergence are typically over 50 meters high, and therefore they have huge roots known as buttress roots, so that they are able to grow to such a height. The canopy is a continuous dense tree cover which protects the ground from heavy rainfall. The canopy also blocks the sunlight from reaching the forest floor. It is because of this that the forest floor or ground layer is particularly dark, damp, and moist. The plants and trees which live in the rainforest have adapted to suit their environment. So adaptation is a process of change by which an organism or species becomes better suited to its environment. The leaves in the rainforest have drip tips, which is this part of the leaf, allowing rainwater to flow off the leaf during a heavy downpour. The leaves are also waxy, which also allows the water to run off. As the water does not collect on the leaf remains healthy and stable. Lianas, which are these vines here, are able to wrap themselves around existing trees so that they can climb above the canopy layer, which is here, to reach the sunlight. The kapok tree, which is able to grow above 50 meters high, so it is an emergence within the rainforest, has large roots known as buttresses. So this photograph here shows one tree and its buttress roots. These buttresses are massive ridges which help to support the base of the tree. They also help transport water from the soil to the tree. Without such a large base, the tree will be unstable and therefore will be unable to break through the canopy layer. So, the forest floor. Underneath the canopy, the conditions are particularly hot and moist, and so leaf litter, which forms on the ground, decays very quickly. This means that any minerals and nutrients from that leaf litter will be returned to soil and absorbed by the plants. Alternatively, these minerals can be washed out by the rainfall. The decomposers, like termites, slugs, and fungi, are responsible for this. These are found on the forest floor and they work to break down the fallen leaf litter. It can be shown as a cycle. This diagram here shows a rainforest nutrient cycle. So the leaves will fall to the ground. The decomposers will break down the leaf litter as it decays. The nutrients will enter the soil, and then the roots will take up the nutrients for the trees and the plants, allowing the trees to grow rapidly, which then leads to them further shedding leaves. Now, like I said, these nutrients which are returned to the soil can be washed into river courses during heavy rain events. So the soil quality in the rainforest is actually quite poor. If it's not being washed into the river, the nutrients aren't being washed into the river, they're being absorbed by the roots of the trees and plants. Now, the tropical rainforest biome is particularly important. Not only does it contain many different species of plants and animals, the rainforest acts as a global carbon sink. Through the process of photosynthesis, they remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, meaning they are slowing down the effects of global warming. So they regulate our climate. The roots, the trees also hold the soil together, preventing the soil from washing into the rivers and causing potential flood events. They provide a wide range of resources, foods, natural products. They are home to indigenous communities like the Yanomami in Brazil and the Penan in Malaysia. And also there are many plants in the rainforest which have not yet been discovered. There are some which we have discovered which are actually being used for their medicinal properties. So 70% of plants with anti-cancer properties exist only in the Amazon. Like this plant here, the lapacho. Okay, the lapacho plant is used to treat cancer, alleviate pain from chemotherapy, and fight infections. Now, it's for these reasons that many people feel very passionately about protecting our rainforests. Without them, the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will increase, meaning the temperature of our